I'm wondering if you had one. I know you said the one about the guy just being the exact. I wonder if that's the one that sticks out for you the most. I'm wondering if you had one synchronicity that stuck out for you the most. And for instance, with me, one that I can think of is when I started the meditation journey and meditating every day. I started the guided meditations because of my wife, Kelly. She told me I would tell her about how my meditations were going. And she was like, mine aren't like that. And she's like, that's not really normal, you know? So she's like, you should start doing guided meditations and maybe help people along that path and really tell people about what you're going through. So I started doing that. And one day I kept meditating. I kept hearing a voice that wasn't mine, like you said, and it kept saying the word Kelpius, Kelpius. I'm like, what is this? What is Kelpius? So I just kind of forgot about it. And one day I was talking to my cousin. I would tell my cousin about it. And like months went by and he was like, did you ever find out about that Kelpius? And I was like, no. And I was like, let me just look it up. Because I'm like, I've never heard of that. I'm like, it's probably some obscure software company or some random thing. There's no way that this is a real thing. So I looked up Kelpius, and the first thing that came up was a guy named Johannes Kelpius that started a movement called the Woman in the Woods in Pennsylvania hundreds of years ago. And he was a mystic that would practice meditation in a place called Kelpius Cave. And I was like, started thinking, and my name is Hanford, but I go by Han. So it was interesting because his name was Johannes Kelpius, and his name was literally Han is Kelpius. So when I heard, I was like, this is the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I was just shocked. I was like, and it was almost scary because I had never experienced anything that crazy before. Yeah. And I kind of got that might be one of the people that's helping me with my meditations. Mm-hmm. So I started reading up on Johannes Kelpius and learning about his life. And it's crazy because my mom is from Pennsylvania, actually, and her whole side of the family is from Pennsylvania. So I'm from Cleveland, but my whole other side of the family, they're Pittsburgh Steelers fans and I'm a Browns fan. So it's just a crazy thing. But I was wondering if you had maybe a moment that stuck out. It doesn't have to be numbers, or just kind of the right person came into your life at the right time, or anything like that.
It's an amazing question. And I love your story because that just really goes to show you the interconnectedness of everything that's happening in this eternal now. Even as we talk about things like past lives, it's all happening in this singular moment of singularity. Yep. It's all existing right now. It's our perception of linear human time that we say, oh, it's a past life. It may have occurred on our timeline previously. It's all actually just happening right now. And that ability to be tapped into these different density frequencies as you've encountered, it really opens these new neurological pathways. Because once you see something, you can't unsee it. And like once you have these deep meditation experiences or communicating with angels or whatever, you can't unsee it. And then as you start to give more faith and more trust and belief into that, instead of saying, oh no, this is like happenstance, I don't believe this, or it starts to happen. Yep. What you appreciates, basically what you give gratitude. But the moment, I think it's so hard to say, because I genuinely feel like since those first 3 months where I received that message of you need to help people, ever since that moment, it has been a continuous unfoldment of synchronicity.
Exactly.
Meeting people all over the world. My sister meeting people who was like, you need to meet my brother, who ended up being a mentor to me. He's a healer himself. This gentleman who's 75. He asked me to write a chapter in a book that he wrote, an anthology. And so it's all of these things just continue to compound. And the most beautiful part of it is the people you meet along the way, because every single person here is here for a reason in your life. There is no coincidence. And if you allow yourself to, this word is very stigmatized, but if you allow yourself to see God in everyone, you genuinely start to see every single person, and not just person, but thing, even in things that we see as inanimate objects, as teachers.
Yes, exactly. And I like that you say that, because whenever I first started my journey, I would think the same. I was thinking the exact same thing. And I was almost scared in a way to say God, because people, it's so stigmatized. People get triggered in certain ways. People think certain things. And eventually I'll just like, you know what? I don't care because I believe what I believe. And just like you were saying, I believe that God is within everything.
And this experience of it's the most sort of blatantly boring experience, but it comes back to your question of, was there one time when you really felt like, whoa? And this is the actual time that I really felt connected to everything. I was sitting in my studio apartment in Manhattan. Everyone was work from home. It was during COVID, and work was busier than ever. We were having a record year, and I was on a 2-person team. Revenue was up 500%. It was crazy. And I look out my window just in this contemplative state, and there's a building across the street from me. And I look at the building and I look at a brick, and it starts to glow with a light. And then I'm like, this is very strange. And then I sort of open my perspective, and every single brick in the building has this light that's emanating from it. It's the same light in all of these bricks. And then I look at the tree right next to the building, and it's the same light that is all over this tree. And I'm like, this is really strange. Like, everything has this same light inside of it. And then I look in my apartment, and then I look at myself, and I'm like, everything is this exact light. This light is everything. And then what happened as I continued to meditate over the course of that month, this image of a spotlight came to me. And it's the spotlight that's cut up into billions of different squares. And each square is a human that is placed on Earth. But if you look back at that spotlight, we're all from this singular spotlight. So we have this same, whatever you want to call it, light, stardust, energy, being that's inside of us. It's the same, regardless of what race, what faith, how you look, sexual orientation. It's the same essence that creates every single person here. And last night, as I was driving home from a meeting, I had this profound realization of, wow, my life is a miracle. And I don't mean that in a self-serving way. I mean that in a sense of, it's not just relevant for my life being a miracle, but every single person here is a miracle of existence. Your life here and why you are here is no coincidence. It's you are here for a purpose. Your entire existence is a miracle, from birth to where you are now, how you've gotten there, the experiences you've had. It holds true for everyone.